want you to see how businesses are actually valued and how, as a professional business broker for 33 years, we look at businesses and how valuations are done so that you know if you're getting a fair deal, a good deal, average, what the numbers should be or what they are. Because a lot of people, either the sellers or buyers, don't even understand what the agents understand. It's very similar to when you're trying to sell a home or when you're trying to sell a car or any big ticket item. You look at what has been sold historically in order to gauge what a willing buyer and a willing seller probably should expect in the future. If you have a home and it's 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, and a pool, and your neighbor's home has a similar home, similar year, similar condition, same square footage, you can expect, if they recently sold and they weren't under duress, you can reasonably expect to see about the same either per square foot or however you want to figure it out, but either by the land, the building, agents do it different ways. But the total sale should come up to about the same, and that's what your expectation would be. If I was listing your home, I would look at the solds, and that would tell me a prediction of what the future might be, and that tells me what the bank might lend on, that tells me what the buyers might, puts me in the ballpark, so we're not wasting time. And that's really what I had to do with my sellers. The same thing with a car. When you go to sell a certain year, model, make, condition, mileage, car, what do? You go to CarMax, they look at what has sold at the auction, sold on their lot, they look at Kelley Blue Book, and it comes up with a number, and then that's what they're willing to offer you wholesale, because they believe they can have a retail number which is X amount, percentage higher than that. So what am I saying? I'm saying that businesses are the same thing, but with businesses we're selling financials. It's an intangible as opposed to a tangible. Yes, there are some assets that are included, the furniture, the fixtures, inventory, things like that, the goodwill, but we're selling a business, we're selling the components of a business that generated $1.2 million in sales, which is awesome. However, what's more awesome is the margins that he's working on, which are almost 33% of the gross. And that's above the average that I'm finding, which is about 31%. So he's above average as far as the gross to the net ratio, which is great. He has strong prices, good paying clients, he collects his receivables, a lot of wonderful things to be said about the way he's operating. And he claims he's ready to prove these numbers to the right buyer. Now, how did we come up with a down payment and a price? Well, I can't speak for the owner, but I can tell you that if this was a more mature business, if I had more years, in other words, if a new owner bought it and then wanted to sell it a couple of years later, over here on the left side, this is what I would expect to sell it for, because you'd be building equity just by owning and running it. Not only would you be making profit to the tune of this, but you're also going to be making equity to the tune of this, because there's value, enhanced value, intrinsic value just by owning it. And as it matures, the tax returns would fortify getting a price more like what I'm about to show you. So here we are, and I hope you're taking a few minutes just to listen to this. Show this to your partners also, please, or your attorney, your accountant, whoever you trust. I think we're going to be under contract this week. We have a few irons in the fire, like they say, and a few people have shown a very strong interest because of like what I'm showing you. His price is $289. That is below market value, way below market value. Down payment, he's asking only $200, which is 69%. The average of the solds that I'm about to show you in the database from the Association of Business Brokers of Florida, I'm going to show you all the numbers, comes up to a little bit less, okay, a little bit less of a down payment. But I'm going to go into the ratios. His adjusted net is $396, which is 73% of 1 year's adjusted net. The average is 2.24. So what does that mean? That means if I took his adjusted net and multiplied it by the average of 2.24 that I'm about to show you, his sales price would be $887, not $289. That leaves equity of $600,000 on the table if this business was more mature. I'm talking a second or third year tax return. You could either look at it as a discount, or you could look at it as, hey, if we bought this, we would be earning this equity, give it back to Eric in a couple of years, and he can get us a higher number, like the ones I'm about to show you. But not only are you making money as an owner, you're also making money when you buy it. And you're giving the guy a hard time with, hey, you got to wait 60 months to get $89,000. Let me just share with you what this is. This is the BBF, the Business Brokers of Florida Association, 20-year association. All of the solds in here, and we have active listings, we have sold listings. What we do for comparables is we go to the solds, and we want to see what's in our database to see, just like when you sell a house, what has historically sold. I'm going to do all Florida. We have all the counties, but I'm just going to pull up all Florida Just like with a house, what has sold in that industry similar, and I'm just going to pull up, for example, air conditioning, okay, because that's all we really want to know about. I'm going to say, show me all of them. I'm not going to put dates in here, but show me all time frames, all counties. What do air conditioning businesses sell for? And then I'm going to narrow it down with the adjusted net and an approximate gross. So here, when I sort this, you can see we have sold, as an association, we have sold 187 air conditioning businesses throughout Florida over the last 20 years. All different profits. This is profits of almost $2 million on $11 million in sales. Well, we're not going to compare him to that size business, and we're not going to compare him to this size business, because the adjusted net, which is the profit plus any cash, any personal bills the business may have paid for, any add backs, and we can go into detail about what that is. But the adjusted net is different than the net that might be on the tax return. Okay, it's the adjusted net. All of the benefits, all of the perks, all of the vacations and meals and personal mortgages that might have been paid, all of that stuff added together. I'm not going to compare him to this because he's making in the 400. So it's not fair to compare 187. They are not all similar. So this would be the same as saying all 187 houses are the same as the house you're living in. Well, that's not a true statement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, get rid of the smaller earners. I'm going to say only show me ones that earn 300,000 or more, and there's 44 of them, right? And if I sort it, you'll see it's 300,000 in profit, adjusted net, all the way up to 1 point. So how do I get these larger ones out? Well, I have to reduce the gross. All right, these are all over 2 million, right? So if I said, show me earners, adjusted net over 300, but gross under 200, I'll be getting rid of these big boys. I'll be getting rid of this guy, right? I'll be getting rid of the ones that are high as far as the gross is concerned. And that'll compare me to a smaller group than 44, which is what I'm looking for. I'm trying to bring it down because all 44 are not like my subject property. So I'm going to say maximum of 2 million, all counties, all time frames. There were 13 of them. Now, if I sort it, I'm getting more similar to what we're actually talking about, from 300 to 600. This is still high, but I'm good over here, 1.9. I could lower this, I could lower this, I could bring this down, calculating what we have here. And out of these 13, this gives you the sold price to the adjusted net ratio. And this is what agents and evaluators and the SBA and people who sell businesses and buy businesses, what they look at. They look at the ratio of what is the horsepower of the business versus the price of the business. How much will I earn? How long will it take to earn my investment back? The return on my investment. The one that we're offering right now is less than a year. And I have that number. It's behind the screen here. It came out to 73% of a year, which is only in 266 days. This business pays for itself. Most businesses, this scale, take 2.24 years. 2.24 years, do the math on that, 365 a day, multiply that by 2.4, you're talking, 2.25 years. And the price would have been much higher. So not only would it have taken longer to pay off your investment of the 3 partners or 1 partner, which is probably how we're going to end up selling it to 1 partner that can, agree to this, but he would also be expected to pay about $900,000. Or he's going to buy it at a discount, run it for a couple of years, make the profit, and build equity, and then possibly sell it. So, for example, if there were 3 of you, there's another $200,000 worth of equity the day that you buy it. And if you're only putting in $150,000, so it's $50,000 each, but you're both making another $200,000 in equity. So your 50 just at the day of closing became $250 each. Your 50 became another $200 plus a third of the profits. It doesn't get any better than that. Looking at it this way, the average sold price to down payment was 59%. You're offering 50%, which is lower than the average. His 200 is 69%. He's a little higher than the average, but that's what he wants. He needs that for his next venture. But I wanted to show you 31% is the average as far as profit. His profit, I think, was at 33%. So he's keeping more than the average on the sales, and you're offering less on the down payment than the average. And that's how we would look at this. This guy sold for 4.8, 2.7, 1.9, 2, 1.6, 1.2. This was a half a year. I don't know what may have gone wrong there. But the average, here, 4 times earnings. You're offering, or not even agreeing to, 0.73 years of an earnings. This tells me that, again, if the business was more mature, we're talking a year or 2, more, because then you'd have 3, 4, 5 years, worth of track record. This business would be 2.25, not 0.73. Your offer was 0.73, but you're below average on your down payment, and you want the guy to wait 5 years, 60 months to make 80 grand. It doesn't make any sense. You're taking his equity from him from day one, and you're getting, turnkey, opening the door $400,000. So I don't know. I mean, so anyhow, listen, you guys do what you want. If it's not right for you, I'm not here to force you to do it. I'm just looking at it and I'm like scratching my head, like, why don't they see this? Why don't they understand that this is not a normal situation? This is upside down, where, I don't usually sell businesses that earn 400 for 300. And then we're asking the owner to wait for 60 days. He was originally willing to wait a period of time for the balance. There was a period of time that he was comfortable with, and here it is, right here, 36 months. So if you had a balance that was available in 36 months, why can't you pay him back in 36 months? Why can't you pay him back in 12 months? I don't understand. The whole business will be paid off in 266 days. If you guys agreed to just, bust for 9 months, the thing is paid off. You're getting the adjusted net, and you're building equity every day. The longer that you hold it, we put it back on the market with better taxes. Maybe you kick up the numbers, kick up the sales, whatever you want to do. You have equity because we'll sell it at 2.25 or 2 years earnings, and you have the profits coming into your pocket. So what's the problem with paying it off in 266 days? At least now you have your education. If you understand what I said, it should make sense. If not, I wish you the best, or you can call us and I'll go over it again with you. If you want to see any of these, I'm happy to show it. But none of them sold for 0.73% of a year's earnings. So you're below market, way below market, hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings on this particular deal. Okay, God bless. Have a good night.